Welcome back to Ultimate S&S. We're going to be checking out our chickens and in the garden today, guys. All right. Now it's done with that. So as you can see, I've got these chickens trained now to go to the back of the cage when I come in. I would recommend doing that so you're not fighting chickens at the door, guys. The easiest way to do that is you want to take and start off just putting chicken scratch at the back of the pen before you enter. And eventually, as you come to the door, they will run back to the back of the pen and wait for you to give them treats. So they have just tore up everything that they've had out here. They had a lot of turnip greens, and they had a couple of fresh squash for dinner today, or I guess you could call it lunch at this hour. So I was out here getting this ready to move some of these cockerels into the young ones. But notice a couple things. One, this door opens out. No way to latch it. What's happened here is this has been assembled backward. This panel should be anchored to this end. And then this panel will open up, or that one will open up. And that explains this style of lock mechanism right here. That'll hold the two doors shut. I do not like that as far as the safety goes, so I'm going to be buying some different types of stuff. I'm going to leave this assembled the way it is because I do like the fact that I can reach to the back of the cage or even up to the front of the cage without having it in the center, both areas being vulnerable to a bird flying out. But we did get our straw placed in to the nesting boxes. There's a couple roosting poles in there, so that's going to be great for the birds. Everything's looking good on this, guys. I would highly recommend this. This is a lot better than the one I had in the back. It's built with better materials. It's sealed a lot better. Yeah, so I was pretty lucky and my brother ended up building this thing back here, so I didn't have to deal with it. But it was nice because I know he mentioned he was looking at getting some to review, and that's the one they sent in. It's actually a nice size. That'll work great for a grow out box. If you have your larger chickens, I wouldn't recommend maybe a couple of hens and a rooster or 3 hens. I wouldn't put any more than that in there. I know they say it's like 5 or 6 chickens, I believe, but I'm pretty sure that's referring to bantam breed. So if you're into bantam chickens, yeah, you could probably keep 6 or 7 in there pretty comfortably. So just depending on whatever it is that you're wanting to do with that thing, we're gonna go check out our garden, guys. Yeah, so we've got rain coming in. It looks like it's gonna be raining all week starting this evening, which would be nice for this garden, man. It's really kicking in. But that extra water really helps because it keeps me from having to water this thing. Every morning I get up, after I finish the quail, I hook the sprinklers up, and I give it between 30 to 45 minutes worth of water. Sometimes it could really use more than that, but that sustains it between rains. So you want to try and have gardening areas where it's going to rain or you're going to be using a lot of water, guys, especially down here in Florida. So let's check things out. So we have a lot of corn coming in. We have a lot of silk coming in. See how the silk is turning kind of a brown color? That means it is pollinated. So these shoots at the top of the corn plants, that is where your pollen comes from. And it can pollinate itself. As you can see what's happened over here. Anytime you see them turning brown, it's a good sign. We're seeing brown on these silk. So everything's looking good down here. Tomato plants are outgrowing during closure, and it is encroaching into the corn with a couple of the limbs. We'll see how that works. I've got a couple braces I've put up under there, but it's not what I really wanted. It's not great and ideal, but hey, you know, it's kind of a tight garden back here, guys. Our stuff is coming back into full bloom. As you can see, we have new blooms all over the plants, guys. And what causes that is whenever I get a good harvest one week, I come in and I will add quail manure, compost tea to the entire garden. And that's going to help get everything producing, the foliage coming back up. It's going to replace any dead leaves. It's going to help the plants grow larger so they can hold more flowers. And then a week later, I will take and I will add a bloom boost, which is, you can buy them in stores. You want to buy stuff that has phosphate and potash. You want to go natural with that. But you can save you some money and create your own potash, which is just burning down like chicken bones, quail bones, stuff that you eat, you know, burning that stuff down and then burning hardwood ash and making a slurry or another type of a compost tea with it. And then you pour it in around the base of your plants. That's going to keep things flowering. So we had a real good production over here originally with our bean plants. And as you can see, they are starting to flower back in now. So that is a good sign to see. You always want to see new flowers coming in. That's how you know you're going to produce year round. If you're not seeing flowers between production runs on your plants, you will need to give them some kind of nutrients. So our okra is looking great over here. It is really starting to grow in. I imagine come June, these plants are probably going to be 2 or 3 times that height. Tomatoes doing fantastic. You see there is a lot of blooms on these plants. I mean, it's amazing. I cannot wait to start getting my tomatoes. And from what it's looking like, I am not going to have to wait very long. We have a lot of tomatoes in here, guys, which is great. Got some more in here. Sorry for the wobble on the camera. It keeps hitting other plants. I have the legs extended. Those are radishes coming in. So as you can see, this is the row where I had all of my greens in and some of my lettuce coming up through here. And that is all played out. I have taken and fed most of that to the chickens. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to fill this in with compost. That's going to be straw and bird poo. And I'm going to till all that into the ground. I'm going to have to make sure I till it first to get the grass out of it, get these weeds out of it, then till it again. And I'm going to build 2 or 3 mounds here, and what that's going to do is that's going to make a situation where maybe right in here I'm going to be able to grow some cantaloupe, and maybe back in this area here I'm going to be able to set out some more squash and zucchini plants. I'm looking at maybe doing some table squash is what I'm looking at. They're a very large round squash. They have a harder shell. They can be grown into gourds. But the thing I like most about them is you can use those meats and you can make squash bread. For those who's never had that, if you've had pumpkin bread, pretty similar. Not quite as sweet, but it is just as good. As you can see, this area here, other than the initial fertilizing I did here a while back, I've stopped trying to push it. I just really have. This area is going to have to be tilled up. I'm going to have to compost it real heavy over the fall and replant springtime. It's just played out. There's just not enough nutrients in this soil without having to constantly be giving fertilizer. Understand, I live in a very sandy location, guys, and that sand does not hold nutrients. It leaches out, so you're having to go about every other week and add nutrients. So it's not too bad. About every week I'm adding some type of a nutrients, but not twice. So I do my quail compost 1 week, and then I will do my potash the next and see how it produces out for a week or 2, and then go back at it. And that's what you do. And if you need more, if you need to do it more frequent, then do it. If you see burning on your plants, which I don't have any that have any burning out here, but I would be happy to show you what it would look like. Basically, on the outsides of your leaves, it would start to turn yellow and then brown, and then the leaves will, almost like they're burning, just start to crinkle up and dry out. That's why they call burning the leaves, guys. So that's something you will have to watch for, and always water at the base of the plants if you can. It's going to help you out a lot. So as I'm looking over here, I have a few yellow leaves. These are some of the early leaves from the cucumbers. I've got to come out here and prune that off. We do not want any old leaves rotting off of our plants. Keep them trimmed off. It will reproduce more leaves, and it will not send a signal to the plant that it's getting close to playing out. So that's something you're going to have to watch out for if you want to keep cucumber plants and squash plants going year round. Yeah, so that's what I've got going on, guys. We're still going to get corn out of this back here. There's no doubt on that. It's not going to be as good as corn directly behind me, but it's chicken corn, so I'm not too worried about it. Like I said, we're going to fertilize this out again when this plays out, probably middle of June, maybe end of June on this side of the garden. And then it's going to get tilled up. It's going to get fertilizers and stuff. I'm going to take that chicken compost, chicken poop compost I got in the back, and I'm going to do this whole area, this field behind me. And that's going to make that a lot better for growing. I do not think I want to use corn in this area. I will probably plant corn kind of maybe where I'm standing now, which would be between the bean poles for the bush beans and this corn row. So I'll probably do corn on this side and rows running this way. And over here, I'm looking at wanting to do more squash plants because we get a really nice shade here at the heat of the day. Understand, squash plants love it warm. They do not like it real hot because it will kill the plant. So you have to make sure you have some good shade at the heat of the day down here in Florida. Check your areas out. I know they say they're full sun plants, but they are what are known as tenders in a garden, guys. Especially if you're doing straight neck squash variety, they have a thinner skin than some of these other types of squashes. So you're going to want to make sure that you will plant the right type of plants where they go. Otherwise, you're going to have issues. Now, these being the first time I've grown these plants from seeds, and that's something to remember, guys. All of that is from seed. That is not from store-bought plants, but they are, it's the first time I've grown with it, so I didn't know how big the plants were going to get. I wasn't sure what the plants were going to do as far as the morphology while they grow. So having learned a lot of that, this garden's going to be restructured with the next one. So it's going to give us more room, it's going to give us more space, and each plant's going to have exactly what it is that it's needing out here. It's going to be pretty nice, I think. So, but that's kind of what I've got going on today. So I'm going to cut everybody loose. Have a wonderful weekend.